is Peter. So the Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993, which was the year it was enacted, has five requirements for the 12-week minimum leave, which is the adoption or birth of a child, the employee has a serious health condition, three, they have a spouse or family member with a serious health condition, four, their spouse or I guess other family member, probably most likely a spouse, or this case would be relevant, or at least like likely in the real world, is a covered military uh, active duty person. Five, if the employee is a covered service member with a serious illness or physical injury. Yeah. And so the case I chose relating to FMLA was Ragsdale versus Wolverine Worldwide. Um, so Ragsdale worked for the company, yeah, Wolverine, and she took 7 months off, not realizing that it would count as a 12-week minimum. She has cancer, um, and Wolverine did count it as a 12-week minimum. So she doesn't come back to work, but she, get touches base with them again. She's like, okay, I want to start after my 7th month leave. I want to start my 12-week minimum according to FMLA minimum. Yeah, minimum. Sorry, I'm saying minimum a lot. And Wolverine said, no, your leave already counted. Your 7-month leave counted for the 12 weeks. So she did not show up for work. They fired her, and then she sued them, and it went through a couple courts. It might have ended up the third one was Supreme Court. Not too sure, I forgot. But um, it sided with Wolverine, the court, the final one. And even though it looks like a win for employers, it did that point on did sort of motivate employers to really be vigilant about the FMLA requirements. Because even though it does on the surface look like a win for the employers, this one it is kind of narrow in scope because of what was invalidated and what was not invalidated, like what was addressed in this case and what was not addressed. Because what was addressed was uh, the DOL, Department of Labor. Trying to remember all of this. The Department of Labor has a sort of penalty, something for employers where um, if employees are not informed that their leave is part of their 12-week minimum, they can be granted more leave. Something like that. Wait, let's just say that for now. So anyway, but Ragsdale's case was just invalidated. Um, but what was not invalidated was the requirement that employers had to inform employees whether or not their leave was going to be, yeah, the 12-week FMLA minimum. Um, so there was just a lot of miscommunication, basically, between the two parties at the start. I mean, between Wolverine and Ragsdale. So, yeah, that's the case. I just found it interesting because it does have repercussions, and it's not like a simple sort of um, right or wrong or yes or no type of thing. A bit more complicated. So yeah, what was then part C was about, oh yeah, posting social media stuff online. So yeah, of course, if you post something that could harm the company in any way, yeah, you should be fired, even if it's not work related. Because the internet is an extension of ourselves. It's still real physical, electricity. Pixels are a real thing. Like it's all like machines, and it's all still physical matter. Like I think a lot of people treat the internet like it's this sort of fantasy world where their politics are kind of like the way they want it to be, but still, it's a people are really there. People are really communicating with each other, and really taking people seriously. Um, so the point was, yeah, even though it is kind of vague, like what's considered not work related, like what's not considered, I don't know, like harmful for the company. I think it is vague, and legally, of course, yeah. Well, not legally, but at least with company policies, don't post something what like sexist, misogynistic, racist, xenophobic, homophobic, kind of like that normal checklist these days, but it's still vague because outside of what would be obviously like those things, how do you define it? So I think of like a few examples that I researched. There's Roseanne Barr. I think everyone knows this. I forgot the name of the person who worked under President Obama at the time when he was president. Roseanne Barr was an actress, I think. I don't even really know her, but like I just heard she was an actress or had her own show. She got fired from the show after posting about I think some woman who might have been Muslim. I don't even know who she was. Who worked under Obama, and of course Roseanne immediately regretted it. Good for her. Um, but everyone saw it already. It was out there. She got fired. So that's one. Two, an assistant professor in University of Tampa made comments about the victims of Hurricane Harvey in Texas, where he said they deserved it. It was instant karma for voting Republican. Of course, he regretted it after putting it out there, but again, everyone saw it, took screenshots of it. Too late, got fired. Third one, James Gunn, director of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. I'm sure this one's popular. Most people know about this. Um, Years ago, he made social media posts, I think jokingly, or I don't know if jokes are related to like pedophilia and rape. They resurfaced again years later, and he got fired. He regretted, of course. So all these people do regret it. Again, I'm like, it kind of goes back to what I'm saying about the internet. How people kind of take it as a way for them to just kind of like post whatever they want without repercussions because it's so easy to do. That instant gratification element of it. But it does affect people, words and actions that are shared on the internet. I've been a victim of this myself. I mean, I've been a perpetrator of this unhealthy habit of social media in the past. You know, um, so it's not good. It is instantly gratifying at the moment, but there are just too many um, unnecessary bad repercussions that affect yourself, me, and like those around me, and just like in your reputation overall into the future. So just gotta be careful about that. Um, okay, sexual harassment in the workplace. Yeah, I took this. I mean, I studied the subject matter a bit in my last in the last semester in a business and law class. Same with the um, the subject of posting social media content and whether you can get fired for it. So sexual harassment, if it's not directly sexual, yes, of course it could still be sexual harassment. Um, and a big element of that is the hostile environment, and by that it's like little, little sort of sexist or misogynistic. It could be from men or women. Um, like sexually abusive behaviors accumulate over time in the workplace. There's a phrase like death by a thousand cuts. Like every little tiny thing does add up and build a toxic or yeah, unsafe, hostile work environment for the victims. And of course, that could lead to more obvious actions of sexual harassment. Yeah. And besides that accumulating, concept when it comes to the hostile work environment, what else in terms of not being directly, I don't know, even like forms of bullying, like sort of like physically like blocking people from like moving around, like restricting access for certain people to be more mobile in the workplace is also I would kind of argue it is like it's subconsciously. I feel like people who do that do have some sort of like sexual insecurity if they have sort of the power to do that without repercussions. And of course, it does affect people who are so even though it's more like bullying and like physical bullying, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, mainly just like focusing on the hostile working environment example. That for sure, that's an example of how not over sexual harassment can be considered sexual harassment. And I know this post is late. It's supposed to post I think 2 days ago. But at least I just want to do it because I found this post or this thread pretty interesting and enlightening to to study and just to see what other people say about it. All right, take it easy.